Hello guys, how you doing? Yeah, I know it's a little, I had a different discrepancy that I had to correct, and this is why I'm a little bit later. Give me 1 second because I have to go and check my monitor. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm still here. I just have to make sure my monitor is on so I can monitor monitor the show to make sure you guys are getting exactly what I'm getting. Um, we have a very exciting show today. Here we go. Come on. There we go. All righty then. Yes, we're here now. There we go. All right. Here we go. Now I just want to make sure that that the everything is set up correctly. Okay. All right. We got a very exciting show today. One of the things that I like to talk about, and take my glasses off. As you can see, guys, I'm starting to gain my weight back. But anyway, one of the things I like to make sure when I do this show is I want to make sure that my content is good, and I want to make sure that you guys get more and more quality. I don't want to keep putting out the same type of videos and everything looks the same, sounds the same, and it shouldn't look the same or sound the same after a month or 2 months or 3 months and so on. So I constantly level up, so I'm constantly learning things. So it's helping me get more efficient and give you a better show, better content. Okay, so be patient with me when you see certain things go a little awry, such as tonight's show was scheduled at 7, and then I rescheduled at 7:30, and I rescheduled again at 7:45. Okay, all right. So let's talk about the content today. Very, very, very good content. 3 success habits that of the successful, of the highly successful. That was funny. I'm doing the show with my phone, so the phone rang. Now, why did the screen go black? I don't know why. I have to check now. Okay, cool. I want to know because the screen went black. That's because someone called me. But anyway, let's do the show. Okay. Now, here's one I want to explain to some of those that are not familiar. When you see the green screen, okay, that is when the show is actually live. Now, sometimes I put on a pre-recorded tape, and not really a tape, a pre-recorded video. Now, if I put on a pre-recorded video, it's actually one of the previous shows, but it has the streaks and the blurs, which means that it's gonna, instead of you seeing the green background, you're gonna see a background I chose. Usually I film 4K in New York City, or 4K in California, or 4K in Dubai, and have that as the background as I'm giving you the show. Okay? So when you see the green screen, that is actually a live show. It is me. Okay? So if you make a comment or whatever, I'll see it and I can respond right then and there. Okay? But even if it's a pre-recorded show, I check all the shows, and if there's any comments, questions, or concerns, I try to address them as best I can. Okay? Now, I know on the show, I'll be correcting that tonight. I saw that error tonight where it says Monday through Friday, 7 to 8. Well, let me explain something about that. It's actually Monday through Sunday, 7 days a week, and it's from 7 to 8. That is the block of time. Now, if the show is shorter, if I finish the information and there's no real questions, and it's 7:30 or 7:45 or 7:20 even, I'll end the show. Okay, the show will end. All right. Now, if you want to know of any of the previous shows, all you have to do is leave a comment, whatever. If you would like a replay of it, I'll bring a replay, and you know, if you put the request in. Okay. Now, let's get into the content. The content is 3 success habits of the highly successful. Now, some of the things I was learning from my mentor, and he was telling me, he says, Jeff, you got to understand that there is a reason why unsuccessful people are unsuccessful and successful people are successful. You have to understand that they think differently. As much as unsuccessful, a lot of times unsuccessful people will try to say to you, no, I think I'm ready and I think correct and whatever. If you listen to them when they're stressed in their lives, you'll see that their thinking is totally different. Like, and as he was telling me this, I started thinking about over my life. I started thinking about, why was I homeless? Why was I struggling just to keep a bank account open? Why didn't I have a vehicle? Why I didn't even have my driver's license? And I started thinking about those things. And it had to go back to how I was raised and some of the habits I picked up. Please, if you owe somebody money, don't answer the phone. Don't pay bills until they're due. Why save money? You can die tomorrow. Tell me you haven't heard that one before. You're going to die from something, so you get to live life once, so have fun. A lot of different thought processes, man. And so when I started changing some of those basic things, like I started staying on top of my bank account, making sure that there's always money in there to pay whatever bill is due. I'm in the process of actually listing every expense. I never did that before. And what's crazy is I'm noticing my FICO numbers, my credit numbers is going up. They're starting to throw credit cards at me. Oh, take this credit card, take that credit card. Yeah, right. But step by step, I'm learning different habits. And this is what my mentor was telling me. He said, Jeff, now notice your income. Right now, potentially, if you stuck to everything you're supposed to do weekly, you would clear $2,000 to $2,500 weekly. And I was like, wow. He said, yeah, but you're still learning, right? You still sometimes you don't do it. I'm like, yeah, sometimes I don't do it. He said, and that's the key. For instance, your lifestyle, Jeff, is very scary to someone that is thinking about working a job. Because the successful look for calculated risks. The unsuccessful look for the safe thing to do. And there was something Jim Carrey said a while ago that was so powerful. He learned about his father. His father had the gift of comedy. He could make people laugh. But instead of his father going after his dreams, he went the safe path and became an accountant. And he said one day his father lost his job as an accountant, and their family had to struggle and do whatever they had to do to make the ends meet. And he said he learned something very valuable from that. He said, you can fail at what you don't want, so you might as well go after what you want. I was like, wow, that's crazy. That's powerful. Because there's no guarantee that because you took the safe route, that it's going to be the safe route. I had my mentor told me, he said the most scariest thing he ever did was take the safe route. Because if he failed doing that, he was like, oh my God. He said, I would rather swing for the fences. And if I strike out, I strike out. But man, at least I went for it. So I was like, wow, okay, so you're telling me take risk? He says, no. He says, be open to calculated risk. When there's a risk here and a large reward, go for it. And then even if you fail, you learn. So the next time something like that come along, you can still take the risk, but then you'll be better prepared to do what's necessary. Me getting this apartment I have was a risk for me because at the time I wasn't making enough to pay the rent. So I had a lady friend of mine. She came, she looked at it. She said, now listen, you can't take advantage of this apartment unless you're able to pay the rent. If you can't pay the rent, then you better stick with where you're staying, or go get one of these studio apartments for $700-900 a month. But I remember what my mentor said. He said, there's a way, Jeff. So I said, okay. So he said, now I want you to start thinking about a way that you can make this payment. And the payment was 5 times as much as I was paying the month previous. I was like, how am I going to increase my income like that? And then I remember something Jim Rome said. He said, the marketplace pays you, will compensate you for value, not for hours. It will compensate you for value. What value do you bring to the marketplace? So I said, well, I know I can sell. I can speak, but I don't know how to monetize that yet. And then boom, it hit me. Because I was open to the thought, it hit me. It said, you're getting a 5-bedroom, 4-bathroom penthouse apartment. Don't you think there's other people out there that want to rent rooms in a penthouse? I said, whoa, yeah. He said, no, and the thought process was coming to me saying, now think about what your rent is and adjust the rents for the rooms accordingly. Show them ahead of time. Tell them they have to pay, basically it was subletting. I said, whoa. So I got to work on it. Long story short, I have the apartment. I've had it now 2 years. So where there's a will, there's a way, but if you have to be open to it and you have to think differently. So one of the habits, first habit, highly successful people, is be open to risks. But remember, calculate risk. Don't be foolish. Go and take all your money and just put it on the horse. It's crazy. But calculated risk. And if it's a small risk and large reward, go for it. Even Arnold Schwarzenegger said this. He said, break the rules, not the law. Okay, let's talk about a second habit. Highly successful people. Second habit of highly successful people is they are large thinkers, big thinkers. And I'm going to tell you right now, I had a problem with this. I still struggle with this sometimes. Okay? Think big. So I was like, okay, well, when my mentor told me think big about the apartment, I was like, okay, well, maybe I can get a two bedroom. He said, Jeff, think big. I said, Zach, that is big for me. He said, it ain't big. He said, does it scare you? I said, well, I'm wondering how I'm gonna get the money. He said, does it scare you? I said, okay, well, no, it doesn't scare me. It's not big enough. If you're not going after something that literally scares you, you're not aiming high enough. That's what thinking big is. Like my mentor, he does well. You know what he's going after excuse me. You know what he's going after this year? He wants his income to go above $250,000 a year, $250,000 a month. Because he makes something between 130 and 170 $1,000 a month. I was like, what? He said, yeah, it's scary for me. That's scary for me. He said, that's scary for me. I was like, whew. But that's what he did. And he went after it and he's on his way. So when I came in, I saw this apartment, there was another apartment that was a little bit smaller. And then I heard him in my head saying, think big, and it has to scare you. When I walked through this apartment, it literally scared me. It literally scared me. I was like, yo, that's crazy. That's crazy. The rent, I was like, that's insane. Because that was the number that I used to think about when I was homeless, walking through the city in New York City saying, man, $3,000 a month, how can you afford that? It's $36,000 a year. Long story short, I got the apartment. And I thought big. And now I can't even think. In this apartment, I can't even think about having a 1 bedroom or 2 bedroom. My stuff wouldn't fit in. I can't even think on those cons, like that. My next move has to be a home. It has to be a house. And I'm well on my way there. So, second habit, highly successful people, think big. If it does, what do we say? If it doesn't scare you, it's not big enough. If it doesn't have the power of, if it doesn't have enough, if it ain't big, if it doesn't have enough, if it ain't something that if you fail, it'll cause you to be embarrassed, it ain't big enough. Go after your dreams and your goals. Go after them great aspirations, those great dreams, those great goals. Something that's going to give you a sense of satisfaction. That's big enough, okay? So, habit number 2 is think big. Go after the sun, because if you miss the sun, you still may get a star or a planet. And I heard Jim Rome said this. He said, "Do you know it takes just as much energy to be broke than it does to be wealthy?" I said, "I don't think so." He said, "Why not?" I said, "Because it's easy to be broke. Just stay in bed all day and just chill." He said, "Do you know for some people, staying in the bed would be painful, physically painful to them?" He said, "See, Jeff, you've been programmed to be broke. So broke habits is not hard for you. Now you have to reprogram yourself to be wealthy. So wealthy habits won't be strange to you. So balancing your checkbook or your bank book won't be strange to you. So paying your bills a month ahead of time or 2 months ahead of time or 3 months ahead of time won't be painful or strange to you. You have to be reprogrammed. Whatever you're programmed to do, it becomes easier. Whatever you're not programmed to do is hard. So think big, big. Okay, now, third thing, and these are every one of these things you can do. Every one of these things I was saying to myself, man, I could do that. I could do that. I could do that. Yeah, you can. You just have to create the habit of doing it. That's it. Third thing is this: write it down. This is my mentor writes everything down. Literally every goal, what day it is, what time, how much time he got to do this, how much time he has to do that. He has it all organized. He said, "Jeff, don't get overwhelmed with looking at my pattern." He said, "Because this took me years to develop. With you, it can be one notebook and you just write it down. Write down what you got to do the next day, 3 big things you got to get accomplished the next day, and just wake up and get them done. Write down how your day went. Just journal it." So I was like, wow. Jim Rome said this. He said he wrote down everything. He used to write down, just write, because his mentor told him, write it down, write it down, write it down, write it down, write it down. And he did that. After a couple of years, guess what? He didn't have to come up with a book he wanted to write. All he had to do was go back in his journal and just put that in a book. He said that's how he wrote many of his books. Many of you have been journaling. Like me, I didn't journal, so I got to learn this. But a lot of you already write it down. You already have enough for a book. Some of you have enough of 3 or 4 or 5 books. See? Write it down. What's here is a wish. What's written down is a goal. There's a big difference. When you take it from here to here, that is what we talked about in the other video. That's the first act of manifesting something from the spiritual world into the natural world, is writing it down. But when you write it down, it's a whole nother level, a whole nother sense of purpose, a whole sense of, I got to get it done, a whole sense of urgency. You put a date on it, urgency. And it's another habit of the highly successful. They write everything down. Every scheduled appointment, every business appointment, every personal appointment, every purchase, Every credit card, they write it down. Or they hire somebody to do it. And when we make enough money, we'll be able to do that. So what are the three habits of three habits of the success of the three habits of the highly successful? The three habits are: one, remember what it is, guys? The first habit. You guys remember? Come on, come on, come on, come on, give me some comments. How many of y'all remember the first success habit? The first habit is thinking. You have to think differently. You have to be open to how the successful think. You have to be open to thinking differently. You have to be. It's a difference, like I told you before. It's a difference the way the unsuccessful and the successful think. And you have to be what? What did I tell you? You have to be risk adverse. You have to be, I'm sorry, you have to be open to risk. Take risks. You have to take risks. If you don't take risks, and I'm gonna tell you something, if you don't take risk reward, remember, small risk, large reward. Take risks. The highly successful, they take, now remember, it's not just any old kind of risk, they're calculated risks. You take risks. That's habit number one. They take their risks. They take risks. Two, think big. Think big. It has to be big enough to scare you. If it doesn't scare you, you're not thinking big enough. If it doesn't have the power to make you look ridiculous, it's not big enough. If it doesn't scare others, scare you and others, it's not big enough. It has to be something that make you get up in the morning and do things that you would never did before. But if you do that, remember, it's the actions of the millionaire that keeps him a millionaire. And you can emulate his actions that don't take money. And the third one, come on, guys. Come on, guys. Think. What's that third thing? What's that third? We know about that. We know about the thinking big already. Come on, what's that third thing? Anyone? That third thing. Man, I got to think about it. Let me see. What's the third thing I said? What's the third thing? Come on, we know about the thinking big. This is crazy because I don't even know. I'm thinking about it. What is the third thing? Come on, I tell you what. If anyone come up with the third thing in the next 15 seconds, I'll give you a free gift. Come on with the comments. Come on with the, what did I say the third thing was? The first thing was what? Risk. The second thing was thinking big. What was the third thing? Man, I don't even remember. See? Now I'm gonna tell you, now this is a good lesson. If I had wrote it down, I would know it. I try to keep it in my head. I didn't write it down. I didn't take notes today. That's what I'm telling you. Tips and strategies. So I can go from 1.0 to 2.0, right? I'm trying to think of what this third thing is. What is the third thing? The third thing is, I forgot. So we're not going to extend the show because I forgot, but I'm going to just tell you. Remember that the first thing, take risks. Well, be open to take calculated risks. The second thing is think big. Think big. Think bigger. So, because if it doesn't scare you, it's not gonna. It's not big enough. So think big. And the last thing was, man. Oh, I got it. How can I forget it? The third thing is write it down. Oh man. And I said it and didn't remember that the third thing was written down. It was crazy. But anyway, the third thing is write it down. Write down every detail. Write down the goals. Write down your goals, your dreams, your aspirations. Write down the goals that you have the next day. Write down the goals you got in your personal life, your spiritual life, your financial life, your relational life. Whatever goals those are, write them down. Because that's the first act of creation of taking it from the spiritual world into the natural world is writing it down. So, ladies and gents, I don't see any questions. So that's the show. And remember the three things. I'm gonna go over them again with you. What are they? 1, be open to calculated risks. Take more risk. 2, think big. That's right, because if it doesn't scare you, it's not big enough, right? 3, write it down. Why? Because the more you write things down, the more concrete it is. If it's in here, it's a wish. If you write it down, it's a goal. And goals and dreams, written goals is what you usually take action on. So God bless you. Thank you for supporting the show. Any questions, concerns, or anything like that, just go and put in the comments, and I will comment to you and get back with you with it, okay? So this is Jeff Hansen, aka the Silver Fox, with TBYE, the best you ever, where we give you tips and strategies that we will share tips and strategies with you to help you go from you 1.0 to you 2.0, because we know that a better you will help you build and create a better life for yourself. God bless you, and may heaven smile upon you. Mm-hmm.